In this video, we are going to explain the Dutch education system, an important part of the Dutch integration exam. We will explain the different levels, as well as how students will move through the system to get to university or learn a trade. Make sure to watch the whole video, because I will explain certain exceptions as well as very specific rules. So let's start. In the Netherlands, education is obligatory. All children between the ages of 5 and 18 years have to go to school. This means that in principle, all children will finish primary and secondary school. Although school is obligatory as of the age of 5, most children will start school at the age of 4 or in group 1 of primary school. Both primary and secondary school are free. That means that parents don't have to pay for the education of their children until the age of 18. Well, that is to say, when they are enrolled in a public school. But be careful, there are some exceptions to this rule, which I will explain later. Primary school takes 8 years, or 8 groups as they are called. Most schools have a system of 1 teacher per group for most subjects the students learn. And most of the time, it is just the specialized lessons like physical education, art, and music, when the kids get a different teacher. At the end of primary school, all children will have to do the state exam to test their writing, reading, maths, as well as history, biology, and geography skills. This test is called CITO-toets, Centraal Instituut voor Toetsontwikkeling. This test is very important because the results of this test determine to what secondary school a student will go after primary school. Now, let's look at what the secondary school system looks like. The results of the CITO-toets determine to what secondary school a student will go. There are 3 levels, each with a different duration, and each with different possibilities for the future. The first level is a mid-level secondary school and lasts 4 years. It is called VMBO, Voorbereidend Middelbaar Beroepsonderwijs, and is a preparation for a trade school, basically determining that students go on to learn a trade. Think teacher, bookkeeper, nurse, and other types of trades. The second level of secondary school has a duration of 5 years and is a high level of secondary school. It can be compared with high school in other countries and is called HAVO, Hoger Algemeen Voortgezet Onderwijs. It is a general-style education with a strong focus on theoretical education, as where the mid-level education is more oriented towards practical education. After finishing this level of secondary school, students can further their education at either a high-level trade school or go on to study at the third level of secondary school to then go to university. The third level of secondary school lasts 6 years. It is purely theoretical and prepares students to go on to university, hence the name. VWO, Voorbereidend Wetenschappelijk Onderwijs. This is the only level where students can directly go to university to become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, etc. Although I will show you later that, in principle, all students have the possibility to go to university. After secondary school, we have the level of continuing education. This level of education has some differences as to other countries. We saw that there are 3 levels of secondary schools. For that same reason, there are 3 levels or types of continuing education as well. Now let's analyze these levels. The first one is MBO, Middelbaar Beroepsonderwijs. A mid-level trade school that has 4 levels. Each level takes 1 year. Obviously increasing the level of difficulty in each level, it works like this. Somebody who wants to become a nurse goes to level 4 and studies for 4 years to become a licensed practical nurse, but somebody studying nursing at level 3 becomes a nursing assistant, a level 2 will become a caretaker, and a level 1, an assistant caretaker. As you can see, the complexity becomes more with the higher levels. The next one is HBO, Hoger Beroepsonderwijs. We can compare this with a practical university, a university where students learn a practical trade with a high level of complexity in a profession like registered nurse, teachers, accountants, physiotherapists, etc. These students, or professionals, can continue to get a master's degree, just like those who finish university. Most studies at this level last 5 years. And the highest level of education is just like in other countries, university. Students become doctors, architects, engineers, lawyers, etc., and can go on to do a master's degree and a doctorate degree. Now, let's put all this into perspective. Children start at the basisschool. This is a total of 8 years, of which 7 years are part of the obligatory age. At the end, students have to do a test, which will determine to what secondary school they can go. Careful, Keep in mind that the result of this test is in no way an obligation for the student or the parents to go to the school that was recommended. They still have the freedom to choose to go to the school they want, but it will be difficult to go to a different school with certain results. So, 3 options. VMBO, HAVO, and VWO, each with a different duration. VMBO, this is 4 years of education, and after graduating, students have 2 options to continue their studies. Either they go to MBO to learn a trade, or they go to HAVO to continue learning. But here is the catch. When they do that, they have to repeat year 4, and then they can go to year 5. They lose 1 year. When they go to MBO, they then have the possibility to go to HBO and end with a master's if they so please. The second option was HAVO. This is high school. It takes 5 years and gives students the option to go to HBO of VWO after they graduate. In other words, learn a higher trade or continue learning in order to go to university. Same as before, there is a catch. When they continue learning at VWO, they have to repeat year 5 before they can continue to go on to year 6. That means that a student that moved from HAVO naar VWO will take 7 years to get ready for university, and students that started at VMBO will take 8 years to go to university. As said before, everybody can go to university, it just takes longer to get there. And option 3 is students study for 6 years and will be able to go to university directly, or if they so please, they can also go to HBO. To end their education, students have also 3 choices in continuing education, at 3 different levels, but always the option to end with a university degree, and as shown to move up in level and further their knowledge in the chosen trade or further general learning concepts. All a bit more extent than in other countries, but overall a rather complete education system. But before we finish, let's talk about some very specific rules and regulations. Remember when I told you that education is free? Well, there's an exception to that. This only applies to primary and secondary school. The level after secondary school, that is to say, MBO, HBO, and Universiteit, they are not free. What does that mean? Well, it means that students who finish VMBO of HAVO, when they continue learning at MBO of HBO, that they have to pay for their education. They can then apply for studiefinanciering. But it means no more free education. And there is another rule. After receiving a diploma of any secondary school, students are still obligated to go to school until they are 18, but the obligation of going full-time is lifted, and they can go part-time, what means 1, 2, or 3 days. This is done at the level of MBO. At the lower levels of this education, schools offer courses that include practice in businesses and companies as part of the practical education in the trade that the students are learning. So, there you have it. The Dutch education system in a nutshell. It looks rather complex, but it is very logical when you look at the overall purpose of each level of education. Keep studying and see you next time. Good luck!